We want to welcome everybody watching from wherever you happen to be. It's Saturday afternoon. Action from the Curling Stadium Martensville Major. My name is Sean Joyce. I'm here with Matthew Hall. We're featuring men's action in this game this afternoon, and it's the team of Colton Flasch playing against a Swiss team skipped by Michael Brunner. We join the action here midway through the first end.
And I think we'll be seeing a lot of action this game, Sean. Two very strong teams. Of course, Flash, well known across the country here in Canada. Saskatchewan's last representatives at the Brier, and one of the few teams to sort of avoid all the firing guns in the offseason. Still the same four guys that they had. Very experienced. A lot of people might not be familiar with the name, but they were the former team Schwaller. Yannick, of course, leaving to go join the Peter DeCruz team. Michael Brunner, former vice, I believe, stepping up to the skip role now, and should be a very good matchup, I think.
Well, I've had a chance. I don't know which games you've done so far, Matthew. I've had a chance to do a couple of the Flash games already, and they've had the hammer in the first end in both of their previous games. Have the hammer in the first end. Pardon me, Brunner, I believe, has the hammer here, but had the hammer in the first two games, and put a lot of pressure on both of the two teams they played. They come into this game with a record of 2-0. 10 teams playing here, both trying to get into the top 5 for the playoffs. You play 5 games in the preliminary round. These games are predetermined. It's not a triple knockout. It's similar to a round robin, but of course not pools. Thought I had the Brunner stats in front of me, but I got too many windows open, Matthew.
Yeah, they're currently 1-1. They lost their first match against a very strong Mike McEwen, but bounced back with a nice 5-2 win against Dallin Myers in the 7th draw.
So really starting to get into crunch time. Of course, tomorrow, the last day of the preliminary round, 5 games. Mike McEwen has already played 4 games. He sits atop the men's standings at 3-1. Colton Flasch at 2-0. There's a couple of other men's teams. The Schwaller team out of Switzerland that you mentioned has 2 wins, as well as the Japanese team skipped by Riku Yanagasawa. Boy, you try to not mispronounce names, and then they give you all the foreign names to start things off.
Yeah.
As we get here to the end of the third day, you really got to watch your positioning for that the potential playoff spots.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Colton has skipped his way, or the team has played their way into a very good position starting off 2-0, beating a very strong Yanagasawa team who actually took down Mike McEwen yesterday. But I think they're in a really great spot. I think there's maybe a bit more pressure on Michael Brunner this game, already sitting at 1-1. You don't really want to drop down to that second loss too early. Looking at half the field will make it out of 10, so you would imagine a 3-2 record should be good enough to make the playoffs, but you definitely don't want to go below that, so you want to avoid that second loss too early.
Yeah, 3-2 should get you something statistically, you would think, although it could be get into tiebreaker situations too. So, and then of course the other side of that, 5 teams making the playoffs, the 4th and 5th will play in a quarterfinal. The top 3 get set ahead to the semifinal, so you don't want to lose sight of that either. Brunner in a good spot here to start this opening end of play. You can see Shot Rock at the top of the 4-foot buried and a chance to draw and sit 2 right now.
Possibly not a whole lot of room to work with, though. It looks like he might just be trying to freeze to his shot dome, maybe move it a bit to give himself room to tap up later.
You could be right. I'm looking at it. You're right. He'd have to nudge off of his own, I think, to get second shot, and then he might leave a double. I don't think you want to do that very bad. Mind you, there is probably a double available on those blues later on, so even if you just bury this, there's potentially a big end here brewing for the Swiss.
Well, you do have to be very careful, of course, with leaving doubles. If there's anybody you don't want to leave it to, it's Colton Flasch. I was just looking at some of their previous games. Of course, their first game, maybe a Flash special against Yanagasawa, winning 4-0. Not often you see such a low score like that. Came back maybe a little bit back to reality with an 8-3 win over Clyburn, but this is definitely a guy that knows how to hit. He knows when to do it and does it very well. So you really have to do your best, I think, to put a lot of pressure down on them, try and force rocks in play as much as you can, and maybe that's your opportunity to get Colton a little bit less comfortable.
don't have mics on the players here. I think we've got a little bit of a mistake here on the graphics, which is throwing me off because we've got Brunner marked with the hammer, but I think Flasch has the hammer, which is why they threw that center guard.
I guess that would make
Yeah,
a little bit more
I was trying to figure out because they didn't really sweep that like they were desperately trying to get it to the ring, so he threw the center guard. Flasch does have last rock here. Now he does have a short slash on one of his own. The question is whether or not, and I'm afraid we don't have mics on the players. I think they think that they can see enough of the red to play the red double over the top of the one on the shot rock. Looks like you can see about 3/4.
absolutely the doubles there, but even if you end up hitting maybe a little bit thick and jam it, your blue will likely be shot over on the left-hand side, and with the two blues frozen together, it would be tough for Michael Brunner to get rid of both of them, so definitely a couple options.
A little thinner on the first one than they might have liked. Well, actually, it solidly jammed the second one and doesn't even ruin the first one from play, but sitting 2 right now. The double is there. What you just saw with the big weight that Colton Flasch had and what he hit it at, that top stone didn't exactly go flying out of the rings. So Brunner's going to have the same issue here. That top blue stone has to go a long ways.
And I was just doing the last game between McEwen and Epping, and twice in that game we found ourselves in the exact same scenario here with 2 rocks basically frozen on the nose, and it seems like they're maybe just not quite as lively here in this club, and it's a little bit tougher to get them both moving, especially when you got to send that top one all the way across the rings. Now, this might be a little bit easier with a little bit of space between them, but we'll see how hard you can throw it.
Got the weight, catches both stones. Good job by the brusher to be aware of that at the tee line and try to get it out, but it does come to rest in the 12-foot. So Colton Flasch with last rock here in the first end is going to have a chance for an open hit. Just needs to stay anywhere in the rings, and he can pick up a deuce to start this game.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is kind of what I was talking about already. Colton, obviously a very good drawer as well. I don't mean to take anything away from him, but a very strong hitter. It sort of seems to be where he feels comfortable, and I'm sure a couple shots ago we didn't think there would only be 2 rocks in the ring. So things can blow up really quickly, and it's going to be a lot of pressure on Team Brunner to make sure that their rock positioning is as good as it can be this game to avoid the ability for him just to blow everything up.
Yeah, this is the 3rd game for the Flasch team having last rock in the opening end, and they have really controlled the play in their early 2 games. And watching them play, and I even talked to Colton after the second game, I said, you guys don't understand, this is still September. You're not supposed to be firing on all cylinders like this. They're really playing strong, and that's something the Brunner team's going to have to be careful of. You don't want to let them control the play, and that's the start the Flasch team wanted. Get 2 in the first end. The Brunner team will have last rock when we come back to the second.
SaskTel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? You can get a grant to help. We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. It's easy. SaskTel has already given away tens of thousands of dollars. There have been lots of great ideas, including kids giving cookies to others, a group set up to welcome newcomers to their school, random acts of kindness, and so much more. The ideas and opportunities are endless. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? SaskTel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's going to make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Jerry Jones got 5.
Welcome back. Second end just underway. The center guard was thrown up. The Brunner team plays the corner guard, and Dan Marsh, you just see that stone coming into top of the 8-foot around the center guard. 5 rock free guard zone in play here, so the Brunner team's going to look to use that corner guard now. And I didn't see Matthew. Are they coming right in or perhaps playing the second corner here?
I think they're playing the second corner. I think that first one, I didn't catch whether they wanted it as high as it is, but probably just a little bit high from what I've seen from the games I've been watching this week. It looks like there's a lot of curl out there, or at least a lot of late curl. So
yeah,
it'll definitely look like it's hanging out for a while, and then in probably hog line in, it'll move about 2-3 feet. So probably that first guard is just a little bit high to go around. Colton would be able to pick it out. So just going for the tight guard, get a second guard up, and hopefully be able to use that later to score the 2 points.
That certainly plays to what you said earlier, though. You don't see a lot of teams looking to play 2 guards already in the second inning.
Yeah, and I think it's become a lot more prevalent nowadays, maybe with the 5 rock rule, but even especially, I'm a bit surprised to see it. It's their first event of the season, you know, still like game 3 with this new lineup and everything. You might see them take a little bit more time to become well adjusted, but it's great that they feel good about the ice enough to really go at it. And it looks like they're going to try a little run back here, open up the center.
6th rock here now, so they do have the option to make a play on the guards. Hit this right, you could probably get all 3 Blues moving. 1, 2, catches the 3rd one. Will leave the 1 guard out front, but rolls it off to a corner, and even the shooter is about a foot off the line now. That's about everything you could get out of that shot.
Absolutely wide open now for the Brunner team, and Flasch will have to be careful. It looks like he originally thought about going around the corner, but kind of has decided to throw the center guard instead. I think that's a great call. If you can put it in the right spot, you sort of choke off space to go around that corner guard anyways, and you'll probably force, or at least see Brunner be forced to play around the center guard, at least for a little while.
Well, and I think the fact that the 3 guards on that corner are all Brunner stones, you hesitate to go around those. He makes any kind of run back, he's protected by his own rocks. As you said, play the center guard, try to take it away. Now with that guard being that tight, I think you'll see Brunner make a play on it.
So probably hit and roll in behind the corner guards, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't think you can make the rings. If that had stopped just a little bit higher, you might be able to come off the back end of the tighter red guard, but I think it slides underneath that now.
There is maybe space. We talked about how much it curls with how deep that went. You might just be able to draw through, just go right around the corners anyway.
Around the corners, you could. It's whether or not you want to leave that center guard, though.
Exactly. And you can already see how well
that's what they're going to do.
Has been placing the rocks. I think they're really going to benefit in these first couple events. Being one of the only teams who didn't really have a lineup change in the offseason, they're already ranked number 12 in the world, and I think they're going to have that advantage of feeling comfortable with each other and be able to hopefully gain quite a few points in these first couple events to keep themselves up there going into the slams next week.
Well, they were trying to come through the port. It doesn't look like they've got quite the right ice. The weight looks good. He's going to come onto the nose of that blue stone and tap it straight up. Well, if the Brunner team is comfortable playing with rocks up front, then they've at least had what they wanted the last 2 ends. They've had plenty of guards in play. They were a little bit overlapped in the first end. They've got a few of their own that they could run back this time. Shot stone was tapped back on just enough of an angle that it's in the open right now. So Colton Schneider throwing the third stones, looking to put a guard on that.
Just looking back at some of Michael Brunner's previous games, a 4-6 loss to Mike McEwen and a 5-2 win over Dallin Myers. So maybe not quite indicative of a lot of high-scoring affairs, but they certainly are fine with some rocks in play early here. We saw quite a few rocks in play in the first end, and now, albeit off of a miss off that last shot, plenty of corner guards to work with here.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things about men's play, especially in the modern era. Just because there's rocks in play doesn't mean there's going to be points on the board. The run backs can get rid of those rocks in a hurry. So if you're Michael Brunner right now, at least you've got 2 rocks of your own you can run back. Now this blue guard is the one that's causing you trouble right now. So looking to get the double here. Straight back onto the shot stone.
Even if you leave another guard hit it on the nose, get that rock off the forefoot, there will be a lot of guards up, but it will basically just be a big wall, so it'll be tough for either team to use it, although bit of an over curl there. They do move one of both stones off the center line, but leave their own, so I'd imagine we're going to see the same call here by Colton to just guard it up again.
Well, and a couple of problems with that last one, and not only did you not get the run back, but when you rolled over and moved your own guard, it spun up a little bit as well, and now I don't know that I don't think you can see all of that red guard that's tight to the ring, so it's not necessarily available for a run back of any kind.
Well,
they were in a good spot. It was in a great spot before when it was sitting there by itself. They could run it back, they could tap it up. I don't know if they can see it all now.
Absolutely. I think you can probably see enough to make the straight tap to the button, but second end of the game, making a 8-foot tap to the button is not maybe what you wanted to be doing.
Well, Colton Schneider didn't want to slide that one into the rings either, and did. So the double available again. Not sure if they... Yeah, that's what I was just wondering. Can he get enough of the inside of that to make the double and roll under? He maybe can, eh?
I think so. I think there's definitely some space between the guard and the rock in the top 12. I think
There's definitely, yeah. But there's a bit of an angle there. Like, can you just see enough to jam it, or can you see enough to make the double over the top and roll in? And that's...
I don't know if you can make the double over the top. You could probably jam it and roll in to the top of the 12 underneath, or just make the straight nose double. Kind of like, so they ended up jamming it, but they did roll in. So it's a rock that Colton might have to be a little bit careful with.
Well, he rolled in, but he actually rolled the blue tighter towards the guards too. This becomes an easier stone to guard. And by rolling where he did, it's definitely underneath that red stone now. There's no direct run-in for a red stone into the shot rock right now. Colton probably wants this guard a little bit higher than the last two.
Yeah, I think so. With the lineup of those 2 red stones, it's pretty tough to run those back onto the blue rock. So as long as you're somewhere in the path of the hit, anywhere from tight guard all the way up to the hog line, probably does the job.
Yeah. Probably expecting Brunner to make an attempt at the double again, so the more space there is between these rocks, the harder that shot becomes.
I seem to like this one a little bit better. Nope.
I'm wondering, just as they were sweeping there, if they were trying to overlap them ever so slightly. Ends up right beside the red. All of the blue accessible, and
I do think that's a really good spot, though. I think if you could bring it an inch further and tuck a piece behind the red guard, that would have been perfect, but still pretty good. Michael Brunner does have to be very careful about playing that blue double. If he's ever a little wide, always the opportunity to jam it into that red rock top 12.
yeah, there's really, he doesn't have much room for error here. If he's, as you said, a little bit high, he puts it on the red stone. If he's a little on the low side, he'll drive it by the rock at the rings, but his shooter won't go anywhere because that other red stone's right there. He'll leave the shot guarded.
Absolutely. I think
This is either make it or you're in trouble.
I was going to say, I think this is pretty much a must-make if you don't want to give up a steal here. Unless he maybe gets a little lucky with a roll. If he doesn't get that rock moving on the forefoot, he's going to be stuck with something very difficult.
Yeah, this is one of those ones, it looks innocent enough, but I don't see a good miss here. Both of the near misses, you're actually in a lot of trouble.
You definitely don't want to jam it into that red stone, and you're right, anything low is not bode well.
You leave it covered. Like that.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's probably the worst part about it is that he left those reds staggered. So
yeah.
No longer any sort of run back or tap or anything there. So all Colton really has to do. Well,
he can come in. He could just come in, throw another one in, lob another one in, and make him face stealing two. I don't think a guard helps you. You guard anything, and that might be his only shot, is run the guard in to try to get one. He's got nothing on the reds.
Absolutely. I think if you're comfortable with the ice and you know what it's doing, I think absolutely you just lock a freeze down right onto that blue, and now Brunner's throwing against a steal of two rather than one.
And boy, the only shot he might have. He might have to angle run the blue guard in and try to double it and roll it out for one. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I
Good
don't
luck.
envy. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't
Do you
really see anything else, but I don't envy him. If he's
on my screen, the overhead's not real big, but I'm looking at it, and I don't see a good angle on any of those reds into the forefoot area.
Well, the only other one I maybe see is that high left guard. Could you run that back into the red top 12 and do something that way? But I mean, that's not any easier, really, of a shot.
No, and I'm not sure it gets to the nose of the red at the top 12. That's one where you almost have to be at ice level to see if there's room there. Colton Flasch waving his arms off here, maybe feeling he's a little strong on this one. Trying to sweep for curl. They might have been better off to sweep this one for distance and make sure it gets behind that rock.
That's just a big lapse there, I think, by Colton Flasch. I mean, you throw that guard, obviously you'd love to put that top 8, that's the perfect spot, but you throw that anywhere from top 8 to the hog line, and Michael Brunner doesn't really have a shot to score.
Does he have one now? I don't know that the draw is there. I think the only shot he's got is maybe the hit and roll.
That's what I was thinking. If you throw the hit off the line, hit and roll into the forefoot, the draw might be there. You might have to just like wick off the rock top 4 and roll in. But
yeah, maybe as a roll in. I don't think there's a draw path there the way it curls to get by the blue corner and by the stone at the top of the forefoot. And he's not playing his hit very hard. Just a chap, roll into the back 4.
Yeah, I really don't. I think obviously whatever you're comfortable with the spot, but I mean any weight more than you need is just making it more difficult to make the shot. I think if you can make it with sort of just a hack weight, that's perfect. But whatever you know with the spot, with the ice that's coming down, I would imagine. I would be surprised if this was any more than just a nice hack weight.
Yeah, that's we don't have the direct camera shot here, so can't tell how much of that blue stone at the back. You can see it might be partially under that corner guard. He doesn't have a ton of room to roll. Probably looking to hit about. They can probably get away with 2/3 with hack weight.
See the final shot coming down from Michael Brunner, looking to make a really precise hit and roll for his single.
Both brushers really working this. This is going to over curl. And if he was looking for hack, he didn't have it. Makes the tap, but I think the shooter rolled too far. I think it's a steal of another 2. So put 2 more points on the board for Colton Flasch. He'll take a 4-0 lead over Brunner as Brunner will keep last rock into the 3rd.
We truly believe that this is an opportunity to partner within a sport that is emerging. It's getting stronger and stronger every year. And, the continued success of teams like yourself really helps to elevate not only the sport, but also those companies that are involved with you.
We love being part of community events and community participation, everything from golf to hockey to curling to supporting teams like Team Flasch. It's right in our wheelhouse, and it's allowed us to grow our company significantly, which for positive reasons means we've got to grow our plant as well. So we are going into a large expansion on our current site, and we will be expanding the brewery's capacity, almost doubling it, and at the same time increasing our efficiency. So we'll be using less water, less energy to make the same great beer.
Third end underway. The Flasch team bringing the first stone into the top of the 4-foot. Now the corner guard attempt from the Brunner team. My name is Sean Joyce with Matthew Hall here from the Curling Stadium Martensville International. Day 3 action. There'll be another draw yet tonight and then a full day's action tomorrow before the championship round on Monday.
You know, that last shot there in that end by Michael Brunner, I would imagine he was maybe just trying to be a little bit too cute with it, or maybe it was just a little light, because we already talked about how much curl we're seeing in the sheets of ice here this weekend. With the amount of weight that he had, I can't imagine he saw that not over curling. So I would imagine they were trying to go for maybe just through or hack, and it was a little bit light, and they just lost the line.
You just wonder, did it creep into his mind a little bit? And of course, we were talking about it just before he threw it, that he didn't have a lot of room to roll. And do you ever get that in your, we've all been there, you get that in your head. Well, I can't throw this too heavy, because if I roll, I don't score. Well, he didn't throw it. He didn't have, you were saying, and I agree, that the ice he had was probably for about hack weight, and that's not what he threw.
You gotta imagine, I think going down 3 or 4 this early in the game probably doesn't make that much of a difference against a really strong Colton Flasch team. Michael Brunner's behind the 8 ball either way, but I mean, you have to make sure you at least cut something down when you throw that. 3 is within the realm of coming back. It happens every now and then. Being down 4-0 with 6 ends to play is a little bit of a tougher ask. So
tougher ask. 3 is tough, 4 is tough, but the saving grace for them, of course, is that there's still 6 ends to play in the 5-rock free guard zone, and you get your deuce. Colton Flasch is not going to try real hard to score, so you're going to have chances perhaps to force him to a single. You need to get your deuces and force to singles, and you're going to need to do that a few times to make up that 4-point difference. But it can be done.
Absolutely, and just looking at the first couple calls here by the Flasch team, throwing both rocks into the rings, and then as soon as Michael Brunner goes around his corner, they're already trying to play the little chip or hack weight takeout. So really no interest by Colton to throw up a center guard or try to force Michael Brunner to make some tough shots. He's okay with playing a little bit more defensively here and just hopefully trying to limit the scoring that way.
Both rushers on this one, they're going to have to work hard to get by the guard. Not going to now. Will it go out of play, because this is still in the free guard zone? Apologies for the technical difficulties there. Another come around for the Brunner team. The hit and roll, was it? Come around for the Brunner team. They're still facing the 3 in the middle, but trying to get something set up on that corner first before they deal with the middle stones. Now, though, free guard zone is over. Kevin Marsh looking to run back the guard, kill a couple of reds here if he could.
Not too much difficult thinking here if you're the Flash team. I think you just continuously try to make these run backs, make these double peels, whatever you can, and they made the run back there very nice. They made the double and rolled into the ring. So it's exactly what they were going for. They were able to do it on the first rock, and now Michael Brunner's sort of in trouble once again. Now they do have quite a few rocks here to get something going, but they're going to have to start making some taps, start rearranging these stones into more optimal positions.
Yeah, instead of having them in a lineup, they'd love to have them in a pocket. So you start maybe tapping some things and try to make that wall of blue a little bit wider. Right now they're all close to dead lined up. Not ideal if you're trying to use them to generate points for the Reds.
This is what I was talking about. The Flash team is so good at limiting their opponent's scoring. I mean, really, Michael Brunner's team didn't do anything wrong this end. You might be able to say those guards were a little too tight and allowed Flash to make the run back, but I mean, we just picked stones, top of the forefoot. The third one chipped the guard, but still got exactly what they wanted. Then they make the run double and roll in, and it's more or less end over for their opponents before the seconds rocks are even done.
Well, let me ask you this though, Matthew. Are you a little surprised because Brunner came in on the lead second stone instead of throwing a second guard? He threw the two guards last end. You're down 4 now.
Absolutely, yeah. That's maybe the only thing that you could talk about. Now, obviously, they're going to have to go in eventually, but it was very clear that Flash was not necessarily going to press as hard as he did in those first two ends when he threw that second block of the ground.
For sure.
With how tight that guard was, you absolutely could have thrown one a little bit higher and maybe delayed things a little bit more to keep some rocks in play.
Well, I think to the point even that you made last end, the first guard last end, they threw a little higher, then they tried to throw a tighter one for the second one. They had the tight guard, and that was a good guard, but you don't necessarily have to go around it right away. You'll see a lot of teams when they're playing the second guard, the higher guard, it's not there to guard something in the ring. It's to guard the good guard. You don't want to give the team a chance to peel that one. I think he maybe went in a little bit too early.
Yeah, I think so. And credit where credit's due. Colton made an incredible shot with his lead the second's first stone.
Kevin.
Just chipping that guard out of the way and rolling in. But yeah, Michael Brunner gave them the opportunity to do that by not throwing the second guard. So now they're in a lot of trouble. I mean, it's getting very close to the point where I wouldn't be trying to maneuver really anything anymore. I know you're down 4, but 3 stones basically frozen top 4 with another rock top 8. You got to be thinking about how are you even going to score here. Maybe you can play a nose hit and stick around kind of frozen, and that would work.
Well, I don't think I see them blanking this end, so you're going to have to find a way to score something. You're facing 5 right now.
I think you might be able to get away with just playing a nose hit, keeping your rock sort of frozen on the blue and do things that way, but if this lasts any longer, they're just going to have to blast this open and just think about scoring 1, because as you're right, it's going to be tough to get 5 blue rocks out of the rings to hopefully save a blank out of this.
I think they're looking for a couple of things here. Nose hit, as you said, but with that broom, I don't think they're throwing real big weight. You'll kill the back one, but the middle one of those 3 is just going to slide over a little bit. Didn't get to the nose, though. Would have loved to have gotten the nose, like you said. They would have stayed frozen on the top stone. The middle one would have squirted out a little bit. The back one's the only one that would have left. They could have got a few things out of that, but you had to get to the nose.
Nothing too tough for Colton here. It's see red, hit red strategy until Michael Brunner decides to do something different.
Yeah, there's not a lot Michael Brunner can even do right now. At least if your name was up on the scoreboard, you could try to switch names from blue to red while they weren't looking, but you can't even do that when they don't have the names up on the scoreboard.
And you know what I say? It is easy decision making for the Flash team, but they're still executing these shots extremely well. I mean, it's really easy to sort of lose focus a little bit when you're just playing open hits, but they're still rolling to perfect spots. They're keeping their rocks in the top of the rings. They're doing all the small things that are making it extremely difficult for Team Brunner to claw their way back, but probably going to see a bunch of weight here. Blast this as much as you can and open it up, so at least maybe Michael would have a draw with a 4-foot to score.
Yeah, some precise hitting by the Flash team here. They've kept everything pretty much in a straight line, no pockets to work with. Gonna look to move some granite here. Gonna get a little bit of a bonus and hang on for Biter behind that red stone that's just out of the rings. I think he's still biting. Unfortunately, he only got one blue one out of the rings, so Flash still sitting 4, and I don't think you've got enough rocks left to bring that red one into play.
Just doing the math, I believe we're on Skip's rocks now. So
We're on Skip stones. He hit that fairly solid. I'm surprised he didn't get at least 2 of them out of the rings.
Yeah.
Only killed 1 stone there.
Unless you see him making 2 triples, which that's a big ask.
Well, there's probably 1 there on the left side. Over the top, you could probably make 1 triple, but that would all be reliant on Colton Flasch putting his last 2 rocks where you'd have another one.
So
I'm a little surprised to see him coming this way. Yeah, there, that's better.
Yeah, I was just about to say, what is the perfect spot here if you're Team Flash? Where if you could walk down and place a rock anywhere, where would that be?
You know, they probably would. They may well have a different view on that than I would, because you see with where they're putting that broom, it looks like they're going to try to draw to the edge of the 4-foot on the open side. And you know, I'm a little bit older player. We didn't play the runbacks as well as these players did. I'd be worried about them hitting and rolling behind, but I think he's looking at his own stone at the top of the 8-foot, thinking if they ever make that, that's such a short runback for me that he's happy to leave him that shot. He just wants to make him play a rock on the open side.
Yeah, for a little bit there, I was almost thinking if you could tap that stone into the 4-foot, but I guess if you're off a little bit one way or the other, you open it up, you might be able to hit roll.
And if you tap it 2 inches behind the tee line, he's going to freeze to it. I think he's playing open side here, and you want this rock to be shot rock and force Michael Brunner to make a play on it and have to roll to get into anything where he's protecting the others. Well, he might be playing the tap. Just with that ice, I would have thought that would have curled by it. Just nudges it up a few inches. Accomplishes the same thing. If Brunner's going to play a hit on it, he's going to have to stay in the open somewhere. The nose hit doesn't do him any good now because his shooter would be, looks like it would probably be 4th.
If you're looking at this situation, you can hit it a little bit on the high side,
play the triple
double on the 2 rocks, and you do have that catcher, so it is possible to make the triple, and then
but I think your shooter is still second, yeah.
Probably, but I would imagine, Colton might just draw into the 8-foot, but I imagine with 2 red rocks in the rings, he might hit it, and if he ever rolls out, it's a nose double for 2, which would be quite the turnaround in the end. Now, that's relying on a miss by Colton, but at least if you can get these 2 rocks out of the way, you'll have a shot to score.
Yeah, for sure. Might not even be trying to kill the 3rd one. There's a possibility you could make the double and roll over and perhaps corner freeze on that one. Yes, you won't be shot rock, but with a corner freeze, you could always play it and spill your shooter in with the last one. So it would still create some problems for Colton. Makes the double and pretty much does get the corner freeze. Maybe not as much of the corner freeze as he would have liked. Probably still flies pretty easy. Wouldn't have had to roll too much farther to make that shot real difficult. Still, you have to be a little bit careful if you're Colton.
But it's tough to see looking at the overhead. I believe blue is sitting 2.
Yeah.
Red might be out counting the one beside it. But there is always if Colton didn't throw, Michael Brunner would possibly have the option to hit a third of that red rock, roll your shooter into the 8-foot, and that red rock would spin down as well. So there is the opportunity for two. So Colton will likely just try to remove this rock, and it's with that other blue sticking around over on the other side of the rings. You're not really too worried about necessarily where your shooter rolls. I'm sure you'd love to roll to center and make the draw tougher, but just make this red go away and it's a force.
Yeah, even if that red on the other side is hanging on, the blue that just hung on has got it beat. So didn't take a lot of ice here. In a perfect world, like you said, he could roll to the center line or towards the center anyway, and make the choice of the draw a little different.
With that other blue sticking around over on the other side, he's not necessarily too worried. He can just throw peel and sort of make sure the red goes. If that blue didn't stick around and rolled out, he'd probably be a bit more careful that he wasn't leaving any kind of double or anything like that. But still makes it go. It's a wide open
Brunner.
draw for one now for Michael Brunner.
Might be. I think he's looking at the quad.
Oh.
I don't know if he's going to take it on, but I think he's looking at it.
I was wondering why he wasn't already in the hack. Usually,
I think he's looking at it. I'm looking at the overhead again. It's a small screen that I'm looking at, but you know, it might be there. And he does have that one little nibbler. It would be.
Yeah, the more I look at it, the more it might just be wishful thinking, but the more I look at it, the more it seems like it's possible.
Well, it seems like, you know, half a rock on the first one. You just look at what you need for the long across the house double. He probably needs a thick half for the first one. Close to 2/3. Now look at 2/3 where that comes on the back too. It's going to be close.
Yeah, I think if anything, this first rock that he's hitting might jam straight into the ones at the back, but down 4-0, I think it's worth a chance.
He's going to give it a run anyway. He's going to be a little thin on the first one across the back and behind the other two. You know, if he hits that a hair thicker, it makes contact with all of them. But as it is, it's a steal of 3, and we're going to get to go for coffee because that's handshakes. Michael Brunner dropping a 7-0 decision in 3 ends here to Colton Flasch. Colton Flasch now moves to a perfect 3-0. The Brunner team be 1-2, and both of these teams back on the ice tomorrow fighting for those playoff spots. The Flasch team now hoping to be in one of those top 3 spots, move directly to the semifinal. And as we were talking about off the top, Matthew, the Brunner team now with 2 losses, they join. I think there's 3 other teams already at 2 losses, and those teams are all going to be fighting for their playoff lives.
Absolutely. Well, it was nice to join you for 45 minutes, but we all get to, I guess, maybe go have a little bit of a nap before the night game starts tonight.
All right, and we want to thank everyone who joined us here on Curling Stadium from the Martensville International. We've had a great time for the first 3 days. We've got another draw yet tonight and a full day's action tomorrow before the playoffs on Monday. We hope you'll join us for all of that and more. I've been Sean Joyce. Matthew Hall's been joining me. We want to thank you again, and good night.
The reason we trust Western Sales with our business is the people. I'm sure that there's 100 years experience coming out of that shop. We trust them because we do a CMI on our combine and on our tractor. When our equipment comes out of Western Sales, it's going to be good, because if it's not, they send us another combine, they send us another tractor. And we're not naive to the fact that that probably costs them a lot of money. So we just know that the service that we're getting at Western Sales is above par to everybody else.